y'all come on. Let's go inside.
Hey guys, it's Crystal Chronic with Cannabis Wiki, and we're here today at the Grow Up Conference and Expo in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and I'm here with Ellen from CannaCollective. How are you doing, Ellen?
I'm having a fantastic day.
And what brings you out to the expo today?
I was one of the speakers. I was on the hemp panel. I work on a 100-acre hemp farm in Stratford, Ontario. We are all female-owned and operated, and we're really excited to share the message about cultivating hemp, not just for CBD, but also for grain, fiber, and the thousands of other uses.
Oh, wow. So the business name, it's CannaCollective Incorporated, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is it just one farm, or?
Right now it's one farm, but we're actually, we've had a lot of farms reach out, and we're starting to work with other farms about how they can go about converting their crops. For instance, we have one farm that's really interested that has been growing Christmas trees for the last several decades, and now they're thinking about, is hemp the right move for them? And we're going to look at, the pros and the cons, the ROI per acre, and make sure that this is the right move for them. So we're going to really help farmers figure out, do they want to grow just hemp, or do they want to do kind of like a polycropping where you grow multiple things?
Yeah, a combination to kind of get a little bit of everywhere. So is hemp as profitable as cannabis and cannabis products?
Well, that kind of remains to be seen. What we're seeing right now is a high industry looking for that CBD, that distillate, that isolate, but what also hemp has to offer is that grain and the fiber and the textiles. So that market, I think, is going to be that multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry that everybody's looking for. But what we do need is more processors and more customers demanding products that are made from hemp-based plastics.
Okay, so do you guys don't process the hemp, you just grow it and send it to other companies to process into different products, or?
Well, right now we're working with a grain strain, so we're most likely going to sell our crop to somebody like Manitoba Harvest, and they can process it and it becomes, food or hearts. But looking for processors for things like hempcrete has been really difficult, so there's just not enough processors for the amount of farmers. So we have more crop than we do places to put our crop.
And what do you think the reason for that is? Is it more expensive to use as like a mixing material than like the regular cements or other things that we would use in our building materials now, or?
I think a big part of it is that people just don't know about the versatility of the hemp plant. They don't realize how useful it can be for a substitute for plastic. Using a biodegradable plastic is going to be something that could literally change and impact the world. Using it for phytoremediation, using it for hempcrete is going to be so important. So I think the big disconnect is just that people don't realize what this plant can do, and once they realize, I think those operations are going to open up, and we're going to start seeing all these ancillary businesses kind of based around it. For example, Lego is now looking to turn all their little Lego pieces made out of hemp, and they're hoping to do that, I think, by 2030.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so companies are starting to come online to, well, why don't we use hemp? Why don't we use hemp? And I think that's great.
So it seems like maybe just a couple more bigger companies need to pick it up to make it into something.
Exactly, and we're, very much based on supply and demand. So if our consumers demand, hey, these products need to be based out of or made out of hemp, and we want to make sure that our food has, hemp grains in it, or we want to be able to buy hemp seeds to eat. Because it's a superfood. It has all 21 amino acids, 9 of which the body cannot create. So, going to a restaurant and being like, yes, I would like to add maybe some flaxseed and some hemp seeds.
So that's the nice thing about hemp, right? It's looked at as more of a healthy alternative, where cannabis has like this recreational image surrounding it. As much as people talk about it being used medicinally, hemp is all health and environment.
True, and I'm a cultivator myself and an educator, and we're finding that 0.3% is pretty arbitrary. It's the same plant, but a lot of people just don't know it. So we can use high THC for the exact same things, and it's we're in a place right now where I feel like THC is being villainized and CBD is being praised, and I feel like we shouldn't pit cannabinoids against each other, especially when we have so many to choose from. There are over 150 cannabinoids, so why don't we look at each one individually and see what they can do? Yeah, we don't want to turn them against each other. We want that entourage effect.
Definitely. So I have read a little bit about your farm in Stratford, and I see a lot of pictures of women. Is it all women on the farm?
It absolutely is. It's all women owned and operated. It's a wonderful thing. It's actually family run. So my boss and her grandmother, it's their family farm, and I am their only employee. So it's 3 women making this happen, which is something pretty amazing. You know, a lot of people are like, how many people do you staff? And we're like, it's just the 3 of us.
I know. I was just saying that you don't see very many women out here at these events. A lot of men in business suits. It's very rare that I get to talk to a woman in a position of power. Do you feel that women are underrepresented? It's in the hemp industry as much as they're in the cannabis side of things?
I feel like more women need to come out and be, loud and proud about what there is that they're doing. There are a lot of female farmers, and now it's just transitioning them into the hemp space or the cannabis space. We are seeing a lot more, women in CEO positions, but I want to see them, in the grow room and let them know, they can grow just as well, the same, better. We can all grow better by, learning from each other. So I think having more women at this event would be really important. Maybe letting women know that, cultivation is important, and it's not just about, growing to get high. It's about growing to take care of yourself. It's about using it as a preventative medicine instead of a palliative care.
And helping the environment while we're at it. Can't complain with all positives, right?
Yeah.
And what would you say to a farmer that is considering maybe switching over to hemp or growing it with other plants? Is there certain plants that it complements better than others on a farm?
Well, if you're looking to grow hemp, if you already have acreage, the number one thing you need to look at is what is your crop right now? What is your crop, and then what would the profitability be of you growing a strain? Because there are strains, it's a tri-purpose crop. So there are some that are going to be better for CBD production, some that are going to be better for grain production, some that will be better for fiber production. So you want to know what you're getting into, and before you ever even put a seed in the ground, know where you're going to sell it. You never want to plant more than you've already sold. So where is this going? What is the ROI on that? Those are going to be really important things to consider, and also the latitude and longitude of where you live. For example, we are in Canada, so we have a very short cultivation cycle, but CannaCollective Inc, we were just down in Tennessee at the Southern Hemp Expo, and we got to go on the farm tours of their hemp fields, and they actually have staggered their harvest, and they ended up putting some of their plants in the ground like late July. And I was like, so are you going to be able to harvest this? And the guy was like, yeah, we go all the way to early December. And I was like, I'm nothing but jealous. Like, that's amazing. So depending on where you live, that's also truly going to influence what strains that you're going to be able to cultivate, especially if it's outdoor without a greenhouse.
I was actually going to ask about that. So most cannabis plants that we hear about being grown are in big greenhouses, big factories, but yours is outdoors. Are there any struggles or problems that you guys face growing outdoors that you maybe wouldn't if you were at an indoor facility?
Yeah, we're at the mercy of Mother Nature in the nicest way. Like it can be a great thing for when we need it for when we need it for the rain. But then what about when we don't need it for the rain? And we're trying to start do seeding, and it's rained so many days in a row. A lot of farmers were late putting their plants into the ground because we had such a heavy rain this season. Other things we have to worry about are hail. Not necessarily here in Canada, but I saw some farmers in Oregon that got hit very badly with a hailstorm, and they ended up losing their entire crop. So crop insurance is going to be very important. Also pests, caterpillars. Nobody likes caterpillars. They are the scourge of the garden, and it was interesting going to Tennessee. I'd never been there before, and they also have caterpillar problems. So it's a united front with the pests that we have to deal with and all of those different kinds of things.
It's a global thing for sure. I was thinking more along the lines of like cross-pollination. So I know if I was to put out like 4 cannabis plants and somebody had a male nearby, it could pollinate them and turn into seed. Does hemp have that same issue?
Yes. So a lot of farmers have a really large concern about, so what are we going to do when these hemp farms come in? For our example, that would be a problem. We grow for grain, so we need both males and females. We need the males to pollinate the females so we get the seeds for the grain. That's just the way it has to be. If I don't have males, I don't have a profitable crop. But if you're growing for high CBD and I pollinate you and you get seeds, that's the absolute opposite of what you want. So with that in mind, we're going to have to start thinking about, as more farmers come online, just being aware of each other. There are no rules or regulations that I know about at this moment, but it's, that cross-pollination is going to be a huge problem. And we've seen it be a problem with other crops when we start to think about things like Monsanto, intellectual property, where if my crop pollinates your crop, guess what? I own your crop. That's not fair. So that's things that we have to talk about and that farmers need to be incredibly aware about before they even get started.
Sounds like a lot more boundaries than I had originally expected to hear about. That's a lot of struggle. And for anybody who maybe would like to get a first-hand look at your farm, do you let people come out, or do you have a website? Or
Absolutely. So we're at CannaCollective Inc, and we are starting to look into giving tours and what we can do with the farm and how we can educate the local farmers and have them come out and see what is it that we're growing. Danyka that I work with, she's like, people literally show up at my house, and like people show up at your house, and she's like, yeah, they come with questions. And one day I was at her house and there was a knock on the door, and it was some guy, and he's like, I'm a farmer, I've been growing alfalfa for years, what is this? And I was like, this is hemp. So I walked him in and he was like, I want to know more, I want to know everything. We started emailing. So we were thinking we should write an article called If You Grow It, They Will Come, because lots of farmers have literally just been knocking on our door saying, how can we learn more? So if they're knocking on our doors, we need to make sure that we can make the information accessible.
Definitely. Yeah. It seems like just getting the word out there is really all you guys need to make this switch and to make it a big thing, so we can get rid of plastic and a lot of the bad things for our environment and our health. That's amazing. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us here today?
I just think that everyone should be aware, and you're the biggest advocate that there is for the plant. Nobody's going to do a better job of helping to combat that stigma and, putting cannabis and hemp in the forefront than us, the consumers, the people that are championing it are definitely making the difference. And we're seeing it happen within our lifetime. The more active we are, the better results that we're getting. As we can see from Congratulations, Canada! October 17th, you shook the world. All of North America. America's going, what is Canada? We gotta catch up to Canada.
I know, we have everybody watching us.
I know.
Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out today to talk to us. I really appreciate it, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of the expo. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well. Take care.
Hey guys, it's Crystal Chronic with Cannabis Wiki, and I'm here today at the Grow Up Conference and Expo with Danyka.
Hello, it's so exciting to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's so exciting to get to meet you from CannaCollective Incorporated. Do you want to let us know a little bit about that?
Yeah, so CannaCollective Incorporated is a company I started in 2018 with my grandmother. My background was public relations and communications. I started learning more about CBD in my marketing, director of marketing role. And knowing that we had this 100 acres that was a cash crop that wasn't doing anything good for the soil, I went in and we started learning about that, and I converted 50 acres by myself, did a test crop, went really well. We traveled the world learning about different soils, what was going on globally with regulation and import-export. Since then, I brought on our director of education, who you had the honor of meeting. She and I together, we did 71 acres this year. We're continuing to do research and development, and we're continuing to really bridge the gap between hemp farmers that are transitioning and the lack of processing that's going on in Canada.
So that's incredible. You up by 50%.
Yep, and only getting bigger. We have a couple other clients that have come on that want to convert their farms as well. So CannaCollective, we're really collectively growing together.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's my understanding that this isn't actually an industry that you sought to get into, that you were started somewhere completely different.
It was completely different. Yep. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would have said, oh my goodness, there's no way I'm going to a farm. Even when I originally was converting it, the plan was to go back to Toronto and continue public relations, but within the cannabis sector. And I fell in love with the farm. Coming from a really saturated area in Toronto, I thought, I can never miss the hustle and bustle. The farm is so peaceful, and the connection that you have with these plants that you're growing, it's a really beautiful thing.
I must agree. So what made you decide to make the leap into the hemp industry specifically?
Truly, it was when I was in my director of marketing role with CBD specifically, and I started realizing that this wasn't the typical, stoner who's like, oh, tell me more about CBD. This was, the 80-year-old patient who was like, my doctor's telling me about this because I'm on 15 different prescriptions. But, my doctor says he can't prescribe it, and I'm thinking, well, that's BS. Like, you're saying that this is a healthy alternative, but you can't, and they're on a pension or a fixed income. So I started looking into that, and I was like, okay, well, what's the root of the problem? Where's our supply and demand? And a lot of it was at the time we were getting CBD from the U.S. So when there was a huge bottleneck in that, people weren't getting the access that they needed to it. So I really wanted to come in and start growing for CBD. As I started learning more about that, I started learning about the hemp and the fiber aspect of it, which is what I think a lot of people don't understand, and the plethora of uses that this plant has, and it doesn't stop. It can be CBD, it can be grain fiber, it can do it all. So I got obsessed with it, and I'm like a dog with a bone. So I started researching more and more and more and started growing more. And yeah, that's where I'm at. And I really want to see it shift to the bioplastics, the biofuel, all of that good stuff. And we're seeing big players like Lego. They issued a press release that by 2030, all of their Lego pieces will be hemp bioplastic.
I had heard that. That's amazing.
It's so amazing, and that's what we need. We need these big hitters to come in and start, and we are seeing the consumer demand shift. We're seeing a lot of that, which is pushing this industry, which is pushing the scale that we need.
But the big players really force that change, right?
They influence it, right?
They have the money too.
Exactly. But I mean, Calvin Klein and Stella McCartney have been using hemp in their clothing lines since the 90s, and nobody really cared.
And that's the stuff a lot of people don't realize, right?
Exactly.
Hemp's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, in Canada alone, we've been growing since 1998. So then the burning question was, and for farmers, they're like, well, why now do I have to, put this application in? And I said, because now it's CBD, and whether you're still doing that, the entire shift or the entire focus is shifting now. I mean, as farmers are like, well, I've been doing this for 30 years. Why now do I have to change? So it's been an interesting thing talking to those farmers that are saying, what are you doing? Why is it different? How is it different?
And do you think that hemp is as profitable?
I think it will be. I think it will be once we get that scale, but we're building this as we go. It's a new emerging industry as much as it has been being done from this scale now. We're learning, and we're seeing a lot of people want to grow for high CBD. That is where the profit margins are, and there's no mistake about it. The problem is, you say, okay, I want to go for high CBD. Health Canada comes in and says, that's great, here's a list of cultivars that you can choose from. The highest that we're seeing is 7%. And you have other companies in the industry saying, oh, I'm getting 24%, I'm getting this. And surely that is amazing. Mazel tov if you're doing that. But you're also getting a lot of processors that our company has spoken to saying, well, here, we'll just give you this wine cherry from the U.S. and just say it's, finola. And as much as people are still learning, there's still going to be that guy in Health Canada that gets down the line that goes, hold on. She's growing 24%, the only one in Ontario, and the highest. I call BS on that. So why would you want to be shady in an industry where it's easy to be shady, but we're so about keeping above the board, and as tenacious as Health Canada is, we enjoy working with them, and we wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that. But we would love to see them improve cultivars so that we can grow for high CBD. And
it seems like the regulations are very restricting for you guys. And so is that why you're growing plants that are more for like the fiber and the food now? Because I know you said you originally got into it for health reasons.
Yeah, so it's where our company is looking at the longevity of it. CBD is going to be around, but my personal thought is we won't have a planet to even cultivate CBD if we don't start looking at our ecological footprint and what we can do to start reducing that. So,
wow. All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us here today?
Really quickly, I would say when I first took over the farm, I had gentlemen that were coming into my house. I know Ellen touched on that a bit, and she was like, no, there's no way. Oh, there's way. They thought I was the real estate agent. They told me, oh my gosh, don't grow, don't do it, I'm scared for you. They said, just start with 1 acre. So it's me, and I did 50. And these same farmers are now that we're slowing down going, told you. They're slowing down going, what did you do? How did you do it? Tell us more. And I'm talking multiple a day are slowing down in the farm. Can I come look at it? So if you're thinking about growing and it's daunting to you, and especially as a female, honestly, just do it. I have an anti-green thumb typically. If I can grow 71 acres, so can you.
Well, that sounds amazing. Maybe I need to look into it. I can't even keep my houseplant alive.
I couldn't either before that. You have to come check out the farm. You would love it.
Definitely. I'll have to come down and maybe take a little bit of a tour. Do you guys have a website or a Facebook page where people can check you out on?
We have a Facebook page. It's CannaCollective Inc. and CannaCollective Inc. on Instagram. Primarily, it's where we are now.
All right, perfect. Well, it was nice meeting you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for taking time out of your day here today. I really hope you enjoy the rest of the expo.
Thank you. You too.
This is a Cannabis Wiki exclusive from the Grow Op Conference and Expo in Niagara Falls, Ontario. If you like this video and want to see more from other industry leaders, check us out at www.cannabis.wiki.